I'm just trying to get this all on my body right now. Okay. 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 I am still a minimalist, but as you can see, I have a new hobby this year. I swear to you that I am still a minimalist. I need to convince myself that I am still a minimalist. Recently, I've acquired a new hobby, rebuying all the beloved DVDs that I've decluttered in the great minimalism purge of 2016 through 2019. My name is Teresa, and this is the importance of physical media. I need to put this down. Okay, okay. Careful. I need to, oh, Les Mis. So this is kind of a strange video concept, but I swear to you, I will make it make sense. So this is how I'm going to jam the square peg into my round hole. The round hole of my channel. A couple years ago, I went kind of crazy decluttering things around my house. I adopted minimalism. I read Marie Kondo, and I really took it to heart. And then I took it a step further, and I started decluttering just everything. Like, I basically wanted to live in a very Spartan, monastic room. I wanted to get rid of my bed and sleep on a futon on the floor. That didn't happen because my husband is not a minimalist, and he's like, the buck stops here. I'm not sleeping on the floor. So, you know, we compromised, and then I got over it. Slowly but surely, I started healing from my obsessive decluttering disorder. I started just leaving things be. But in the great minimalism purge of 2016 and 2019, I got rid of a lot of things that I regret. A large portion of my DVD collection, I sold them in a giant lot on eBay. Whoever bought that lot really lucked out. For $30, they probably got like 50 DVDs. So at the time, 2016, 2017, I was very sure that I would never, ever have to own any movies ever again, because all the movies that I wanted to watch were on Netflix. Netflix was the only competition in town in terms of streaming services. If I wanted to watch The Sandlot, it would be on Netflix. If I wanted to watch Mortal Kombat, it would be on Netflix. It's just so much easier to stream your movie. I don't need to own these movies. When would I ever want to see Alien again? If I wanted to watch Alien, I'd go on Netflix. And then several years passed. Netflix started to get more competition. You have HBO Max, well, now I think it's called Max, Amazon Prime, Paramount Plus, Peacock Plus, Disney Plus. Every single network that you can think of now has a subscription service. Why license our movies to Netflix when we can just stream it ourselves? The year was 2021. Netflix was not the only game in town. All the movies that used to be collected there, licensed there, have now scattered through 20 streaming services. The streaming wars have begun. And I was sitting at home. I just got the hankering to watch Jaws. Jaws. On long car rides, I like to do Quint's impersonation. I like to impersonate this old, salty New England sea captain. Don't think you can imagine, given the voice that I have. Here's to swimming with bow-legged women, chief. That's a deep cut. Shows you how many times I've seen Jaws. So I wanted to watch it. My heart needed to watch Jaws, and I wanted to watch it that night. And guess what? Jaws wasn't on Netflix. Where was it? Where did it go? It's not on Netflix anymore. I'm already subscribed to Netflix. I'm subscribed to HBO Max. Like, where is Jaws? So that was the first trigger where I thought maybe it wasn't so wise to sell all my DVDs after all. Jaws, I never owned on DVD prior to this. I never even owned it on VHS. The copy I owned was from a VHS that I taped off TV in the year 2000 for Jaws' 25th anniversary. I would watch it with the commercials taped in between. But Jaws is what did it. Jaws was the inciting instance of me collecting DVDs again. So the thing is, when Netflix was $7.99 or so and Disney Plus was like $5.99, you know, their promotional bundle with Hulu and everything. Okay, fine. I get a lot of content. I can swing for it. We've heard on the news that several years ago, Netflix was bleeding money. Disney Plus was bleeding money, maybe still is bleeding money. They actually didn't know what they were doing, so they have to increase the price. So now Netflix went from $7.99 to like $9.99. Disney Plus has like an ad tier for cheap, and then like a more premium, the actual Plus tier. Now Prime Video is doing the same, where you have your ad tier, which is included in your like Amazon Prime subscription, which is not cheap, by the way. If you want no ads, then you have to pay extra. There's Max, formerly known as HBO Max, formerly known as HBO. Your subscription will get you the low resolution movies. Higher tier will get you 4K movies. I feel that as a consumer right now, I am like a frog slowly being boiled in water. If you're paying for a subscription, you still have ads in it. What's the point of paying for the subscription? You might as well just pay for cable. Like basically, you're paying for cable, but you're paying for cable across a variety of streaming services. I believe it was last year where the news dropped that HBO Max or Max, I don't even know what to call it anymore. They were dropping a lot of original programming like Batgirl, and they're never gonna air it because at the end of the day, it's a tax write-off. It's cheaper for them not to air it. It's just a lot more profitable to write it off as a tax write-off than to stream the show and pay residuals to the cast and crew. Think of all the hours a creative would sink into their project, only never to have it see the light of day, only to never have it even on your resume. Screenwriters, directors, whoever's involved in it, they can't just take the show back and then show it on YouTube or anything because it's being held in like a limbo with rights. The show is dead on arrival. Not only is it dead, it would never see the light of day. Nobody will know what a great screenwriter you are. Nobody will ever know what a great animator you are. I write novels, I write rom-coms. It takes me about a year to write a book. When I first began, it took me like 7 years to write a book. Can you imagine spending 7 years of your life working on a project only for it to be sold and then being told it will never be published, it will never see the light of day, all because they don't want to pay you, and all because it's just easier for them to make money for like a tax write-off. Nothing really makes me cry, guys, but just to see creative energy stifled like this, for what? For a tax write-off? Jaws is in no danger of going away. I would say all of Steven Spielberg's movies from the 80s, from the whimsical years of the 80s, will never go away because they're too much embedded in the cinema cultural zeitgeist. But there are movies that have done well when released at the box office. There are movies that are beloved by some, rather popular movies, by the way, that are perhaps in danger of going away. And that's because of who owns the rights to these movies, because of the shifting mergers of many different studios and corporations, like Disney bought out Fox, 20th Century Fox. I always fear that Anastasia will disappear. It was a giant competitor for Disney around 97 when it came out. It was basically a princess movie that Disney didn't do, and they're not gonna have that. I don't know if it's on streaming on Disney Plus, and I'm not subscribed right now, so tell me if it's on streaming on Disney Plus. But where else can you watch this? Is it on HBO? Like, did they license it out? When I learned that there is a Blu-ray version of this, I don't think there's a 4K, I have to snag it because I need to have this movie in my life. Every once in a while, I get a hankering to revisit my 90s childhood, and I need this. But I recently watched the video on the Joe Blow channel about Cocoon, a movie that most of us who love movies have heard of. It's not one of my favorite movies. I think I've only seen it once on TV when I was 8 years old. Being 8 years old, I really didn't have that much of an interest in it. But you know, it did well at the box office. It has famous actors at the time, directed by Ron Howard. And because of rights, because of mergers or who owns the rights, where can you buy it? Where can you buy a copy of Cocoon? Where can you stream a copy of Cocoon? If you get the hankering for watching a movie about senior citizens who discover the fountain of youth, where can you watch it? Go on Netflix, it's not there. Go on HBO, it's not there. Disney Plus, it's not there. When you own a movie, you're a custodian of that movie for life, or you're a custodian of that cut of that movie, the cut you want. So let me tell you a story about Star Wars. So the year was 2015. Star Wars, the original Star Wars, episode 4, 5, and 6 was on Netflix. Disney Plus didn't exist at this time. My husband is a giant Star Wars fan. He's really enjoying it because it's his childhood movie. I'm watching it like, it's all right. So we're watching Star Wars episode 6. Return of the Jedi. And then all of a sudden we get to the end and my husband is like, pause that movie, enhance it. What the hell is Hayden Christensen's Force Ghost doing at the end of this movie? He didn't want young Anakin. He wanted old Anakin. And I know the prequels are beloved by a new generation, but for the older generation, they want the original movie. They don't want additional CGI or alterations in the movies that they remember. But the new version is the version you're always going to have. And I had a similar experience with Pride and Prejudice 2005, starring Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden. So I love that movie. I owned a very basic DVD of that movie. The version I own, the version I remember seeing in the movie theater, you can only call me Mrs. Darcy if you are incandescently happy. Incandescently happy. I want the incandescently happy scene. So the one that you would see on streaming now ends with Mr. Bennett, Elizabeth Bennett's father, having a good time, having a moment. I'm glad that he's having the moment, but the movie is about Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. You know, we go from you've bewitched me body and soul to incandescently happy. I want incandescently happy here. I know that different regions or different countries have a different cut of the movie, so I'm told that UK audiences really hate the incandescently happy tack on, but that's what I want. That's what gets the 80-year-old woman inside me going. So all these cuts, all these alterations, special effects alterations in Star Wars, alternative endings for Pride and Prejudice. And I heard that the only version that you can stream of the French Connection is heavily censored. I don't want the cleaner version. I want the dirty version. I want the time capsule of what it was like to live in the 70s. Imagine if that happened to Pulp Fiction, my other favorite childhood movie, which I don't think I own a 4K of, so that's on my wish list. What if they CGI'd out the Gimp? You know, he's a fan favorite. He's like a mascot for Pulp Fiction. When I was a kid, I would watch the same movies over and over again. There was a certain point of time where I owned Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King, Jurassic Park, and Terminator 2. Those were the only movies I had, and I would watch them over and over and over again. I am still, at this ripe old age, a kid that could watch movies that I love over and over. So while I am not going to collect like 100 movies, I am going to make sure that I own the movies that I love, which is kind of like a time capsule of being a 90s kid. I want to rebuy the movies I used to own on VHS. I want to rebuy the Disney 90s Renaissance movies, minus Hercules. I enjoy watching people show off their Criterion collection, but I don't think I'm going to be a Criterion collection collector unless it's a movie that I love. But without further ado, let me go through the stack. These are not all the movies that I own, but these are just movies that I grabbed. They were acquired by a variety of different sources. Some were gifts, some we bought at an estate sale, $2 a DVD, $3 a Blu-ray. Some were bought at Best Buy, which no longer are going to stock DVDs anymore, but most we bought in a Black Friday sale directly from the studio. So a lot of them were pretty cheap, definitely cheaper than when people did buy DVDs. Jaws, top 3 favorite movies, gotta love that dolly zoom. Anastasia, Derpy Dimitri right here. Dimitri is my #1 animated crush. You know how there's waifus? I guess you would call him my husbando. Original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The excitement is excruciating. I hope it lasts. I think Gene Wilder is a national treasure. I love how demented his Willy Wonka is. I haven't seen the Timothy Chalamet one. What we have here is a failure to communicate. The whim of a madman. Scarlett O'Hara and Jaws, like the actual shark. I feel like they have similar characteristics. She went after Ashley like Jaws went after his next meal. She always knew what she wanted. Unfortunately, what she wanted was not worth having. Even defeated, she's still an unstoppable force. I'm a family man. I run a family business. Funny thing is, when I was a kid, 8 years old, I watched Alien 2 on TV, and that scene, Lance Hendrickson's character was ripped apart by the mother. That was traumatizing. I didn't catch the first part of the movie, so I was like, why is his blood white? Fortunately, when I was 8 years old, I wasn't introduced to the chest burster. I look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you say my collection's complete? Rammstein. I learned that the lead singer, Till Lindemann, he's an artist. He makes like phallic sculptures. Maybe I want to buy a phallic sculpture from him. Romeo plus Juliet, which I picked up at an estate sale for like $1. Apparently somebody bought it at Costco for $9.99. Never actually really opened this. Oh my gosh, there's a poster in here of Leo. The Matrix. What happened to it? Why is it wet? I love The Sandlot, and I don't even like baseball, guys. This movie is a seminal 90s kid movie, and I remember having the biggest crush on Benjamin Franklin Rodriguez. He seemed so much older than all these other kids. We're on a mission from God. Les Mis, the 10th anniversary Dreamcast concerts from 1995. When I first discovered this in VHS in the library in college, it was like my first exposure to Les Mis. I was obsessed. Like, I would play this VHS 3 times a week, and I would force whatever friend that was around to watch it over and over again. Scarface. It's another childhood classic. This town is ready to be. I don't ever want to live in a dystopian world, but if I had to choose, it would be the set of Gattaca. Everything is a mixture between 40s, like Batman, the animated series from the 90s, 40s / modern Frank Lloyd Wright. There was a point in my life where Sebastian was my lock screen. So if I had to choose between my animated husbando, then it would be Dimitri, and then it would be Sebastian. There was a time during 2007, 2008 where there was kind of a mini back-to-back Western revival. 310 to Yuma was one of my favorites. This copy is really dirty because I got it at an estate sale. Whoever used to own this got some gunk on it. Should probably clean it off. And then there was another movie called The Proposition starring Guy Pearce, music by Nick Cave, you know, the guy who did The Red Right Hand. I love that movie too. That movie was more of a cerebral movie. This is a little bit more commercial. It's a remake of the 1950s, John Wayne, 310 to Yuma. So that's all I have for you today. It's a strange topic for my channel. Every once in a while, I like to throw some oddballs out there and hope that you beautiful people will catch them. Tell me what your 3 top favorite movies are. Quote some lines back to me. Do you hear the people singing a song of angry men? It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again. I abandoned my son. I abandoned my child. Yippee-ki-yay, mother.